Hey guys, as we travel through lockdown 3, I wonder, have you become frustrated and restless yet? I know a lot of people are. My wife last week, she'd finally sorted all the house out, got rid of all the clutter, was ready to get some storage units, just do the final few touches of work we've had done on the house. And she couldn't go anywhere. She couldn't drop the stuff off at a charity shop because they're all closed. She couldn't go to IKEA, her favourite place in the world, because that is closed. And she was just a bit restless, it's almost a little bouncing a little bit, saying, Jim, I want to finish the job, but I can't. I've got the next thing to do, but I can't do it. And I know that's very much a first world problem. But guys, how many of us are feeling that way at the moment? It's a great illustration, I think, for what we're feeling right now. So many of us, we're just fed up, we're restless, we're frustrated. Maybe we want to get stuff done around the house, it could be, but it could be even more significant. We want to get stuff done for God. We want to take the next steps on in our life. We want to get on with our life. But at the moment, we just feel like we're stuck, waiting, restless and frustrated. And a couple of weeks ago, I just had one of those times where a few hours I've just been praying and worshipping. And I already felt a sense of God sharing a few things with me. I shared last week about be careful what to pray for. But I already felt God drop this into my heart. And the Holy Spirit confirmed to me that we're in a time of preparation and waiting. We're in a time of preparation and waiting. Don't waste it. Now, I know that sounds really obvious thing, but it was just a reconfirmation for me. And I sensed that a few times. And I sensed them sort of take me to Joshua 1, verse 11. And this is what it says. It says this, go through the camp and tell the people, get your provisions ready. 3 days from now, you will cross the Jordan and go in and take possession of the land the Lord your God is giving you for his own. Now, this verse came at a significant time for the people of Israel. Okay, they'd just come out of slavery. They've been traveling 40 years around the desert, and they're finally going to hit the place, go into the place that God had says you're going to get to. Now, that's quite a lot of waiting. 40 years to get to where you're supposed to go, and a trip that shouldn't have taken that long is a long time. They would have been frustrated, restless, ready to go to the next step. They've now changed positions, getting ready now. They've got a new leader in place. You've got the younger, not young, but young, dynamic Joshua, who's ready to take things forward, lead on from where Moses left, to take the Israelites into the place where God had called them. And Joshua was a real man of faith. He was one of the two spies who saw the land of Israel and didn't say they couldn't take it, or the land of Canaan, which became Israel. He didn't say that they couldn't take it. He said, with God, we can take it. With God, we're going to go into that land that he's promised us. So here he was, ready to go into the land, ready to step forward. And Joshua said these. He said, get ready, in 3 days, we're going to go across. In 3 days' time, get your provisions ready, prepare yourself, because in 3 days, we're going to cross the River Jordan and go into the land of Canaan. Now, I reckon there was a couple of, just a speculation, nothing in the scriptures here, but I reckon there was two approaches here. I reckon you're going to have some guys in Joshua's team who are turning around and saying, 3 days, we've waited 40 years so far, we're going to go in now, why have we got to wait 3 more days? Goodness sake, Joshua, where's your faith? Let's go for it, let's go out now, let's take it. You know the sort of people I'm talking about. I'm sure he had those. And then I'm sure you sort of had the other group would have said, 3 days, that's not enough time to get prepared. We can't get prepared in 3 days. 3 days, really? What? I'm sure you know those people as well. I'm sure you would have had these people going at it, both thinking about different sides, different groups, about going forward. But Joshua said this, you know what? 3 days, you're going to cross. But get your provisions ready. Get ready. You know, guys, at the moment, there's some of you who want to be rushing ahead and saying, you know what, I can't wait any longer. I can't wait 3 days. I can't wait 3 months. I can't wait a year. But at this moment, I believe God is saying to you, get your provisions ready. Get prepared. There's some of you who are probably quite happy to stay in this place, actually a bit like some of the Israelites who are probably happy to go around the desert a bit longer. God's saying to you, get prepared. Get prepared for what I'm going to do. Get prepared for what I've called you to do. Don't waste this time. Get ready. Get yourself ready. Get yourself right with God. Grow in your relationship with God. Grow in your relationship with each other. Dream, plan, research. Start getting stuff ready so when we come out of lockdown, those things that you want to do, you can hit the ground running and do them. It can be frustrating, it can be restless, waiting for God. But we need to be prepared to step into what God's doing, and don't waste this time. Don't just sit on the sofa doing nothing. Get prepared for when we leave lockdown and the things that are going to go before us and the things that are going to happen. David Guzik, a Bible commentator, I love reading his stuff. He says this. He sums up this passage here in Joshua by saying, the waiting for God is often the most difficult part for us. But the days of waiting are always days of preparation in God's work. There is no wasted time with God. And for some of you right now, you're getting restless and frustrated and you're feeling this is wasted time. Can I say this now to you? This is not wasted time. This is time for God to do work on you, to work on your soul, to do work on your emotions, to work on you physically as well, to get ready for what He's called you to do next, to get ready for the future. When He's struck by Jesus, He spent 30 years of preparation for 3 years of ministry. The proportions are crazy, isn't it? Most of us want to spend 3 years preparation for 30 years of ministry. But Jesus spent 30 years of ministry. So 30 years of preparation, get the right way, for 3 years of ministry. Paul, before he came out, one of the greatest church leaders, before he actually went and started preaching, he didn't rush. He went and spent time in Arabia, then went back to Damascus and spent time before he launched out into ministry. The disciples spent 3 years with Jesus just learning and preparing. And then after Jesus ascended into heaven, they spent 10 days on their knees in prayer before they received the Holy Spirit. Time of preparation. And guys, we can't underestimate the power of preparation at these times. And I really believe, and the word I felt from God a couple of weeks ago was a word from season for us today, that we cannot waste this time of preparation. You know what? Jesus didn't waste his time of preparation. The disciples didn't waste the time of preparation. Paul didn't waste his time of preparation. This time last year, I was training for a marathon, and unfortunately the marathon never happened. I finished my training, I'd done my long runs, I was tapering down to the marathon, and it got cancelled. I was absolutely gutted. And I thought to myself, a little bit of me is that, what's the point of keep going for longer distances? Because I don't know when I'm going to run my next half marathon or marathon. But I had a thought came into my head. Well, surely I've put all this hard work in, so why let it go to waste now? So I took it on myself to keep up my longer runs, to keep steadily, healthily doing it, ticking away. There was times when I really did not feel like going out running, but I went out and ran. And what happened in the end was, I've signed up for a half marathon last minute at the end of the year. And because I'd done all my preparation, because I'd kept myself physically fit, I kept myself motivated, I kept going, even though I didn't know when the race was coming. When I signed up for that half marathon last minute, I managed to run that half marathon without any much extra training and get a personal best. Now, if I'd sat on the sofa and said, you know what, my marathon's cancelled, what I'm going to do until my next half marathon's coming up, I'm going to start training then. I would have ended up a round ball shape, if you know me. I put on weight really quickly. And I wouldn't have been able to do what I achieved. But by keep going and kept my preparation going, it meant that I could achieve my quickest time that I've ever run, a half marathon distance. And guys, you know what? It's really important. That for us to keep going, for us not to waste that time when the end is not in sight. Leading the church over the last 7 years and being a senior minister, I've noticed this. There's two types of people. There's it's maybe a generalization, probably across, a mixture of both for most people, but I've seen extremes. You've got the people who use times of waiting for doing absolutely nothing and literally sitting on the sofa and watching TV. So I've had people in our church who are waiting for new jobs. They don't actively go out and seek the new job. They sort of pray the new job will come to them. And in that time of preparation and waiting for the job, they'll sit on the sofa and do absolutely nothing. Then you've got similar situation. You have people who are waiting for their immigration papers, who don't do anything, who sit there doing not much. Then you've got the opposite side. You've got the guys who, while they're waiting for a job, take every volunteer opportunity they possibly can, do every course they can possibly do everything they can possibly do with the times without work to prepare for when they go to work. Same with people who are waiting for their immigration papers. I have guys who volunteer absolutely everywhere, do everything they can so that when they have their papers, they can get ready to rush into work. Now, I wonder, it's not obvious, it's not like a surprise, is it? Which group of people succeed after when things turn around quickly. The ones who put the preparation in are the ones who always go on and achieve more in the long run. Because you know what, this time of waiting, this time of preparation, we can choose to waste it or we can choose to use it. And I believe God is saying to you today, do not waste it. Use this time of preparation during lockdown to prepare for what you can do for God, to prepare for the future, to prepare for what better things you can do in your family and the difference you can make in the world. So I've got 3 things very quickly, that we can do to help us prepare. Number 1, get yourself healthy. Spiritually healthy, emotionally healthy, and physically healthy. Guys, you will be no good to anyone if you don't try and get yourself as healthy as you possibly can. So it's a thing to do there. Get yourself healthy, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Start eating more healthily. Don't use this time of preparation to see if you can break the world record for the amount of pies being eaten. Okay, try and get yourself physically healthy in the right way. Get yourself walking, get yourself out of the house, get yourself refreshed. Don't just sit there doing nothing. Okay, the next thing you can do is make sure that your faith is growing. Okay, keep growing your relationship with God. Keep talking to Him. Keep growing. Spend time. Read the Bible. Pray. Talk to other Christians. If you're connecting online now, listening to this message, it means you can connect with other Christians on social media or through Zoom. There's no excuse. So recent statistics came out and said 33% of Christians have not engaged with anything since lockdown. Those 33% of Christians have also said they felt so distant from God as they've ever felt before. Far away from God as they've ever felt before. Guys, not a mistake there. It's a lot of correlation between the two. So connecting with others. Okay, last one, seek God. Spend time praying. You know, for some of you, you're in a place where you can't do much, okay? And there's only so much of Disney Plus, Netflix, Prime you can watch. Get some time away with God. If you've got kids at home, lock yourself in the toilet for 20 minutes. Seek God, okay? As we can spend that time with Him, seek Him, ask Him for the future, ask Him for directions. He may not give you all the answers you want exactly right, but He will guide you and He will drop little gems into your heart. So there's 3 things you can do, okay? Get yourself healthy, both spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Make sure your faith is still growing. Make sure you're connecting with other Christians and helping to grow your faith. The last thing is seek God. Ask Him for your next steps. Ask Him to direct you. Really important. Don't waste this time. As I really believe it's the word from God to us today, that we're in a time of preparation, so do not waste it. Now, I just want to share a couple more things. When I